Hey everybody, I'm Sean Rosensteel, author of the School of Intentional Living and host of Author-ized, where authors go live to reveal their insights, stories, and best lessons from their most recent works. Thanks so much for watching today and enjoy this week's episode. All right, hey there everybody. Thanks for joining us here today on the show. I'm so excited to have with me today Betty Ogiel Rubanga, author of Against All Odds. Betty, thanks so much for being with us here today.
Thanks, Sean, for having me.
You bet, you bet. Now, Betty, I hope I'm not spoiling anything here, but at the end of your book, you left us cliffhanging, and there was a little bit of an accident, and you experienced a little speech loss. Is that correct?
Yes, and that is why I normally say that I am an inspirational speaker who speaks majestically, not by choice, but by circumstances beyond my control. Just like COVID-19 happened to us without warning us that it was coming.
That's right. That's right. Okay, thanks for that. So I have read quite a few memoirs in my lifetime, and I must say that this one was incredibly compelling, incredibly impactful. I learned so much about your life, your upbringing, your story. It's a miracle you're here with us today, frankly. So could you tell us a little bit about how the book came to be?
Sean, that book is a result of discovering my purpose and calling in life. When I was growing up, I had no idea that I would end up being an author of the book Against All Odds. But along the way, the journey of life, the challenges I faced throughout my childhood, and the fact that I overcame all of them and I am still here. I thought that book, that story of mine would encourage someone to not give up. So it is part of my purpose to inspire hope and help build resilience and transform lives. That is why I shared my story in that book.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And you shared with us so much. I mean, there was just so much incredible detail, and you were so courageous to, I think, share so much and be so vulnerable in the writing. And one of the things about your upbringing that I found interesting was, you fought poverty, right? I mean, you have, I believe, overcome poverty. And one of the powerful quotes that I came away with was when you said, poverty is a bad thing. I never applied to be poor. So can you tell us, expand on that a little bit? Like, what does that mean? I never applied to be poor, right?
I remember when that thought came to me. It was at school. I was being accused for not doing something. It was a wrong accusation, and I thought that I was being accused because I was a poor girl. I was looked at as a burden to society, and I remember crying, and I wrote this in my book. my small book at school. I cried and I wrote this quote. It is original quote from my mind, that poverty is bad. I'm going through this because of poverty. And yes, I never applied to be poor. I just found myself being born to a poor family, losing my dad, and my mom was a peasant, uneducated woman struggling. So it was something that crossed my mind at school. I remember that day. I remember vividly where I was seated, and yes.
Yeah, and so it seems to me like education was your answer. You know, education was your solution. That was the way out of poverty. So can you share with us a little bit about your educational journey? Because I know in the book you mentioned that I think it was you were the first female in your clan to get an education. So tell us a little bit about what education meant to you, why it was a solution to getting out of poverty. And I don't know what that means, first female in your clan. So if you could tell us a little bit about that too, that would be fascinating.
You know, in Africa, with being an orphan and from a poor family, the only equalizer for me to make it in life was education. And education was my everything. Was my father, was my mother, was my uncle, became my everything, because I had no one. I was all alone, and I knew I had seen people, officials coming to school, emphasizing that education is the way out of poverty. So that meant a lot to me. And I found myself having 3Ds when I was evaluating my journey. I zeroed down to 3Ds. I had a dream of attaining an education against all odds. I made a decision that I would do, attain my dream against all odds. Then I was determined to achieve my dream against all odds. That dream, that decision fueled my determination. So I have a lot to say about my education. First of all, my uncle is the hero who, much as he abandoned me along the way, but he showed me the path to education, and I did everything I could to attain an education. I I I I smuggled for education at the age of 14.
Was it Mawa? Is that how you pronounce? Is it Mawa?
Yes, local potent gym. I was looking for school fees. After my uncle had abandoned me in a, a risky area, left alone, about 14. I don't even know my age. Sean, when I tell people this, I chose my birthday. Wow. Because no one knows when I was born.
Wow.
So I could have been 13, 14. I estimate my age. I could be younger or older, according to my age. So at the age of 14, I was left alone, abandoned by my uncle who lost hope in the area we were in. Karamoja is the poorest part of Uganda. Then it is still now, but it is getting better compared to when I was there growing up as a destitute orphan girl, smuggling for education. I cried for my education. I brewed local potent gin for my education. I picked cotton for my education. I dug rubbish pits for my education. I cooked for my education.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And to me, that's such an empowering mindset to have, because you said that, I did all these things for my future, for my education. And certainly work ethic is, for me, as I read your memoir, work ethic is at the foundation of a lot of this. I mean, you have an amazing work ethic, right? And there was a part in the book where you were talking about, I'm serving tea. I will be the best tea server that this country's ever seen, or something like that, right? So you took so much pride in that, and you said, I'll be the best one ever. And then that led to other things, didn't it? You talked about the pursuit of happiness, right? And that movie and how you watched that, and oh my gosh, that reminds me of myself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. To me, I tell my colleagues and friends, to me, work is not a punishment. It is a way of life. I started working at the age of 7, probably 6 years, and I was working for free. Now I am working for money. Why would the entire be the best at everything I do? So yes, after graduating, it is difficult to get a job. It is no guarantee that immediately after graduating, you will get a job waiting for you. No, you have to work hard to find yourself a job. So here came an opportunity for my job title was not Tigal. It was graduate fellow, graduate research fellow. But what I was doing was not related anyway, the title. Anyway, because of positive mental attitude, I determined that I would be the best Tigal. And true to it I was my boss missed me, felt bad when I left.
Right. Right.
Not sure. I'm
So,
not sure. She expected me to be to remain a tea girl. Uh, Maybe she had plans for me, but I did not know. I had plans for myself.
right.
I I tell people I was a poor, uh, stubborn girl
Yeah,
because I knew
you
what I wanted. I was poor, but stubborn.
you had inherited a
Stubborn,
nickname.
yes.
You had inherited a nickname. I think it was like,
Yeah,
was it Punda?
yes, Puna.
Punda.
Punda is a donkey. A
Hmm.
donkey. Yeah. They used to say that I worked like a donkey
Hmm.
growing up in that area.
Well, it was one of your greatest assets, I think.
Yes,
No.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I enjoy work. I don't want. I don't like being idle. Yes.
So you had mentioned a few moments ago that you were abandoned by your uncle at age 14. You are still so grateful for everything that he did. And you talked about your mother and how you were given up early as a child. And I was just blown away towards the back half of the book. You were talking about your mother and you were writing about her death. And you have this unbelievable capacity for forgiveness and for compassion. I mean, as I was reading your words, I was thinking, you have so much empathy for what she must have been going through during that process shortly after you were born. It's amazing to me. So when you just said that about your uncle, you mentioned something about how grateful you were, but also that he abandoned you. And it kind of brought back the memory of reading about your relationship with your mother. And just, again, I thought that was incredible how you wrote about your mom.
Yes. I never really spent a lot of time with my mom because my dad died when I was about 3 years old, and my uncle picked me from my mom because we are seven children, and I am the fifth born. So we were really suffering. So word went out uh, to my father's people and warning them to pick their kids, their children. Otherwise, they would pick dead bodies because we were with my mom, and she was struggling to make ends meet. We were not going to school, and even my elder brothers who were going to school when my dad was alive, immediately he died, their school ended there. So now for my mom, it was survival. It was uh, it, it was working hard to feed us because to her, she chose for us to remain uneducated other than having us die of hunger. So that is when I was picked by my uncle and taken to where he was staying. And I was still very young. He also did not have a family. Actually, I was like his firstborn.
Hmm.
Um, and he married. Then the story is long, but particularly with my mom, I saw her. I was young. Then I saw her again when I was a teenager. Then when I joined university, I saw her, and that is when she died.
Hmm. Wow.
What pain be? I never really had so much connection, like bond with my mom, but you can't replace a biological mom, parent with anything. Eh, eh, um, we did not have that bond, but I knew I had a mother. I had a mother whom I had seen suffering, trying to sell food at the lake side where fishermen
Hmm.
selling food to the fishermen. I remember when I followed her to what to the place she was working. That gave, gave me the motivation to work hard and get my mom out of that poverty and that situation. Unfortunately, she passed on when I was in the second year university. And unfortunately, again, I was not in the country when she passed on. I was representing Uganda uh, at games. I was a runner. I was an athlete. So uh, we had East African University Games. So I had traveled to Kenya, a neighboring country, East Africa, in East Africa, and we had East African University Games. I won. I won most all of my my races. To come back home, my mother had died and she had been buried. There was no communication at all.
Hmm.
I I went and got uh, and when I asked people, my brothers could not reach out to me because I was also struggling to make it in life. I was at university and they had no way of communicating to
Hmm.
me. When
Wow.
I say poverty is bad, I have seen poverty rob me of my mother, rob me of my best friend at high school. She committed suicide because she wanted to pursue her education,
Hmm.
higher education, but our um, benefact, our guardian said, you have to stop here. I don't have any money. And she was a bright girl, beautiful. So poverty
Hmm.
has robbed. I've seen people dying because of poverty.
Wow. Wow. So what are you doing now? Because I know poverty was a big, I want to call it a target, but it was a very motivational force in your life to move away from this thing called poverty, right? It's a very serious threat. So what are you doing today? What are you up to now to kind of combat that a little bit, right?
Yes, I struggled through my education, and I graduated with a second class degree in social sciences, social administration, and psychology. And so I am now working as a human resource manager. I am also an inspirational speaker. I love to encourage people. I recently, years ago, I became a certified coach speaker and trainer with the John Maxwell team. I have a passion which is directly linked with my calling, which is to inspire hope and transform life. I also run a foundation to support girls from a vulnerable.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Let's go back for a minute, Betty, if we can, because you talked about games and you were in track and you wrote a little bit about this. And then it was so neat to see so many photos of you in the back of the book because you could instantly, put a picture with some of the stories that you told, but I don't think you ever lost. Like, you're fast, right?
Yes, they were certainly better runners than me, but whenever I could get on a track, my eye was in the on the prize. So I always tried my best. In fact, worked to be the best, and that kind of mentality is has remained entrenched in my system. For everything I do, I want it to be the best.
Yeah, I love one of the quotes that I love so much was that I normally work as if my entire life depends on it, right?
Oh,
And
yes,
for you, it did.
is.
It really did.
It is. It depends on it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. That is my. Today I was talking to one of my coaches and mentors, and he told me, Betty, you have to pivot with your work ethic, desire, determination. You can achieve greater things more than you are achieving right now. And he cited work ethic. Now, that is a person who knows me, who has seen me get into the personal growth journey. I met him after the accident, and when I was in this big pity party I had thrown for myself after the dead. So yes, he was encouraging me to do some things to get to pivot.
Does that have anything to do with, in the book, something you mentioned very subtly, but it resonated greatly with me and my own experiences? You know, when you're a fast learner, you get bored easily. So
Yes.
does that have to do anything with that concept as far as your pivot is concerned?
Yes, yes. And he told me that that from the time he met me, I was in a class. I attended several of his trainings. Among those were the public speaking training, and with the my speech was much slower than today, but I was attending a public speaking training, and he said, when I look at you and the journey you have come a long way, and I look at some of the people, some of the participants who were with you in that class are still finding their way. For you, you went, you discovered your purpose, you wrote a book, you became a certified coach. Now you are running masterminds. Now you want to build a digital course on resilience. You are unstoppable, but that is because I don't want to be bored. I get bored easily. If I am not in any environment where I am allowed to demonstrate my creativity, I get bored easily.
So do you ever, with all that activity and all the go, do you ever take any time to kind of slow down, take a vacation, meditate, relax? Do you ever have any downtime?
Yes, it is my area of improvement, a weakness area. I have a husband and 3 handsome boys, and my husband thinks that I take life so seriously, like I am. It is ever seriousness.
Betty, don't ever let your husband talk to my wife, because we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
I identified that as an area of weakness. I love traveling. I love traveling, and so once in a year, I make sure I travel.
Cool.
And because I get bored so easily, I want to be in a place where I am seeing a totally different perspective. I am always yearning to learn new things so that I can have something new to share. So I like traveling.
Cool.
But once in a while, we go out with my husband and my family. But it is an area I need to do better.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we could probably all use a little improvement in that area. I don't think there's a lot of people who like just sitting still, right? So we're in the midst of this pandemic, right? And a lot of people are experiencing different emotions during this time. One of the concepts, one of the ideas that you talked about in your book, which resonated so well with me, was that I'm going to put this up on the screen. You said, when you're feeling like you're being buried, you may not know that you are actually being planted. So can you expand upon that a little bit right now? Because I think a lot of us, a lot of the listeners and the watchers in the audience might be feeling like they're being buried a little bit with just the entire global circumstance that we're all going through, right?
Actually, I love the quote of James Allen.
James Allen. Yep.
Yes, that says that adversity introduces a man to himself.
Yep.
Was it the one who said that? Adversity introduces a man to himself. So when we are in the thick of challenges, obstacles, we do not think that it is actually making us better until we come out of it and most people come out better, apart from the ones who decide to commit suicide. Most people come out better. And that is why in my book, I say, I wonder what I would have been had my life not been full of obstacles. Had I grown up with both my parents, I wonder if I would be this compassionate. Had I grown up in a rich family, would I be this careful and caring about other people? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, you asked that question in the book, Betty. You said, what would have happened had I had a normal life, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, but whatever, either whether you have had a good life or a hard life, one thing I know for sure is no situation is permanent. Even this COVID-19, it is there. It will also pass. And will talk about it in the history. Yes. So
Sure.
What I encourage people to do is to look for a silver lining to anchor on. Yes. Look for a positive thing, something positive to keep you going. Otherwise, you cannot put up with everything, every negativity, if you don't take control of your mind and whatever you feed it with. And yes, this Betty you see now, it was brewed, made by obstacles.
Yeah.
And that is why even my uncle's wife, I don't hate her. In fact, I am in good terms with her.
Wow.
She calls me daughter.
Wow.
That woman put me through a lot. Emotional torture, physical torture, mental torture. A name of all tortures she put me. But I decided to look at the positive side of what became. It is that skill of brewing I learned from her. And that skill of brewing local potent gin is the one which got me school fees to go back to school when I was abandoned. So how can I blame the person? Yes, the method was wrong. I don't condone. I don't condone mothers or guardians torturing anyone because maybe I'm different. But yes, the method was crude, but the product is quite fine. I am I am happy about the product and
But I think, you know, you're touching upon such an important lesson because it's, you know, what we focus on, you know, we feel and we'll find it in our environment. And
yes.
same, you know, you're talking about COVID-19, but at the same time, you're talking about your, it's not your, is it your uncle's wife?
Yes.
You can look back and you can focus on all the negative things, you know, or you can find that one silver lining, like you're suggesting, and focus on that. And now look at where your relationship is. And I can't imagine how difficult that was to focus on that one thing versus all the other things. However, but look at how that's empowered you. You know, look at that, what that's done to your relationship. And I'm sure it's done, you know, so much for her too. I mean, there's some real power in all of that. So I think that's a really important lesson, that we have this ability to focus, choose what we focus on.
Yes.
You know, incredibly difficult at times. I can't appreciate the things that you went through. What an amazing example that you set with that one thing. And you look back and you apply it, you know, you look at then COVID and it's like, you know what, you know, there's a lot worse things in the world, you know? So yeah, it's amazing.
Actually, at the beginning of COVID-19, and when we were locked, when we went into a total lockdown and people were complaining, I said to my colleagues, use this time to better yourself. Yes, come up with a COVID-19 growth plan so that
Yeah.
At the end of COVID-19 period, you can attribute something.
Amen.
Something that changed in your life to COVID-19 positively.
Yes.
I told them to come up with the personal growth plans and name them COVID-19 personal growth plan. What are you targeting to improve during this time?
Love it.
You have a lot of time. I am an HR professional. Employees like complaining about not work-life balance. So we were all automatically required to work from home. Who is complaining about work-life balance anymore?
Isn't that what everyone wanted all along, was to work from home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, people will always find things to complain about, but intentional people who are very clear about what they want, and that is why I talked about the 3 Ds. Yes, dreams, decisions, and determination. Yes.
Yep.
Drive success. It has driven success in my own life.
Yeah.
And I can't begin to tell you how much COVID-19 has taught me. Of course, I'm not happy that it happened. Yes, but my nature, my DNA is wired in such a way that I look at a bad thing, I try to look for the good in everything.
Yep.
For the sanity of my mind, because you can't fail to get a bad and negative thing in the world. So
Yeah, I think you have to get to a place, because I'm with you on that. A few years ago, I realized that, one of the questions that I was constantly asking myself about everything in my environment was like, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with this person or this thing? And it's very easy as human beings, we can get offended very easily. But something shifted in me, because I think I started valuing happiness and inner peace, and kindness over, being right or being offended all the time or whatever it was. But it's just a small shift. And now if I see something that upsets me, instead of thinking what's wrong with that, my brain kind of kicks in and says, well, what about that is right? What's right about that, or what's good about that? And for me, that was a major pivot point in my life, just a big transition point, just for my own mental health and sanity, is when I could catch that automatic response to whatever it was in the environment that was causing it, and say, well, hold on a minute, I don't want to feel that way any longer. What about that is right? What about that is good? And when you focus on that, you obviously feel a lot better. Your actions are a lot more effective. You contribute on a whole, higher level. I think you're touching upon something very important there. I'm curious, Betty, have you read The Alchemist?
Yes.
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho?
Not yet.
Okay. So there's a small section of the book where Santiago, the main character, who is on this journey to discover his purpose, he works at a crystal shop. And it's not his thing, but he contributes greatly to the store owner. And he's not sure. He's saving up money to get back home, because he's kind of halfway through his journey, but he's also thinking about, what else do I need to do to move on and proceed? Anyways, I feel like we're all in a crystal shop right now with this pandemic. We're all just kind of biding our time. And we have this option now to either work on ourselves and improve ourselves and invest in our personal growth and development, and come out on the other side of this thing better, stronger, faster than we ever could imagine we were before, or we're going to be the same person we were, before the pandemic started, right? So I love that message. I think it's so powerful. And you talked about the status quo in the book. You talked about the status quo. It's such a powerful force, right? Because it kind of just keeps us comfortable, complacent, whatever that might be. Well, here comes the pandemic, and it's really shifted and broken up the status quo, I think, for many of us.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I've got 2 more questions for you, Betty. If someone wanted to find you online, they wanted to find your book, where can we find out where you are?
Okay. They can find me, find my book, this book, Against All Odds, www againstallodds.life. Against all odds.
Awesome.
Then also I am a fan of Facebook. They can find me on Facebook, Betty Ogiel, and all my social media handles, Betty Ogiel.
Awesome.
Ogiel in Twitter, LinkedIn. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks, Betty. Thank you for being here. This was so fun, and it was so exciting to meet you after reading your just amazing memoir. So I appreciate you being here on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I also host, as part of my giving back to the society, I host Against All Odds talks.
Cool.
Yes, on a monthly basis. And the next one is on the 1st of August.
Awesome.
I normally share it, the details on my Facebook. So those who will be following me will be able to find that information. I also, yes, run a foundation which supports the needy girls to attain an education.
Awesome. And what's the name? Is it the Betty Ogiel Foundation?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay, great, great. All right, so if there's one message you'd like to leave the listeners, the watchers of this show, Betty, what would it be today?
Nothing is permanent in this world. Not even you and me. We are just here for a short time and we will go. So no situation in life is permanent. I was poor, I was destitute, but now I am here. Then the second one is this. If you want to leave a legacy after you have gone, add value to someone else. Find someone who needs help and support them. Be a lifter. My mentor, John Maxwell, says success is what we do for ourselves. Significance is what we do for others. So let's all join together and be significant to other people. You can contribute in your unique way to someone's life. Even a word of encouragement, a positive word can lift a life up and transform a life. It is not about money only. It is not about status. It is about having a heart, an authentic heart of you.
Awesome. Awesome. Beautiful message, Betty. Thank you so much. And thanks again for being with us here on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
All right, Sean here again. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Say, if you liked what you saw today, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so that you can catch future episodes. Take care and make it a great day.